I sort of lost 10 or 12 years of my life. I would have sort of flashbacks and nightmares. Before this happened, I was settled down, 3 golden retrievers, a girl that I loved, nice home. Something happened and I couldn't have that kind of life. Because every day I would wake up and I wanted to die. I didn't want to go through another day.
PTSD is a neuroplastic disorder par excellence. A person with an often normally functioning nervous system experiences a crushing mental event that changes the meaning of their lives and fundamentally alters their nervous system. Now, as they repeatedly relive the event, it wires itself more and more deeply into their minds, further disrupting normal functioning.
Everyone was able to move on with life, but I felt like I was left behind. Sounds or anything could trigger it, and then all of a sudden you were down in this pit again.
The sound of a dog barking, the sound of kids screaming, it would just send me right back. The Rottweiler grabbed the back of my leg and started whipping me around like I was a rag doll. I could see my son trying to get out of his stroller, and it caught the attention of the dog, and the dog turned and lunged at the baby's head.
I came home from work that day and found my brother hanging in our front hallway. It's never going to be something that I'll be able to forget.
The fact that our brains are plastic also makes them vulnerable and allows trauma to alter them and create post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. But Elaine Brunet, a clinical psychologist at McGill University, has found a way to use this same neuroplasticity to cure patients of this debilitating disorder.
The sad truth is that every day people are exposed to trauma and are at risk of developing post-traumatic stress disorder. Rape victims, child abuse, car accident victims, and you are changed by your experience and you're never going to be the same again. Never. We have developed a new treatment for PTSD, and this new treatment could change the way psychologists and mental health professionals treat people.
During the course of experiencing a trauma, a person and even the brain is so overwhelmed that they cannot properly file away the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that are happening into memory. And thus, they keep emerging over and over again as though they're happening in the present.
It's like you're in hell and there's no escape. It's living with a bad memory, and the bad memory is so vivid that you're reliving it many times a day. I would really get sick. The sweating, the shaking, and the feeling like I just wanted to hide in a closet somewhere in the dark so nobody could even know that I existed.
What is required for the treatment to work is that the memory needs to be brought back.
Researchers have found that each time any mental event is brought to conscious awareness, there's a moment of heightened plasticity in its circuit. This provides an opportunity to alter that circuit and its connections, and in the case of trauma, file those mental events in their proper place in the past.
So in the treatment that we have developed, we have people think of their traumatic event under the influence of a medication. Propranolol dampens this emotional memory.
In this treatment, the patient is given a low dose of propranolol, an old drug typically used to relieve hypertension. Then, they write out a narrative account of the trauma in explicit detail.
And then they read the account of their trauma, and that lasts less than 10 minutes.
C'est le 3 septembre, 9h20. Il fait beau et je viens de commencer mon travail au magasin.
Then they come back the following week, take the drug and read their written account of their trauma, and they do this once a week for 5 more weeks.
When I first tried this, I did not think it would work because it's deceptively simple. We find that about 3/4 of the people no longer meet the criteria for PTSD after this treatment. It really changes their lives.
While working with Alain, when I wrote down what had happened to me, I found out I still had that rage. That night, I remember coming home, having nightmares again, major, and I was going, what am I getting into? And after each session, I had to read the whole story, and it was always difficult for me. La jeune commis vient de rentrer et je lui dis de s'occuper des clients pendant que je prépare ma commande. Pendant ce temps, le gars qui avait l'air nerveux me dit « Get in the back store and open the fucking safe ». We walk to the back, towards the safe, and he has the gun on my head and back.
La jeune commis arrive avec l'autre gars. Elle aussi est attachée. Elle tremble, elle pleure. Encore une fois, il vous met le gun sur votre tête et vous demande « Where's the fucking key ?»
Je suis certain, comme je suis un témoin, qu'il va revenir et me tuer. Mon cœur bat très vite.
When I was 12, I had to have my tonsils taken out. So I was alone in the hospital. When I walked into this doctor's office, the first thing I noticed was that the walls were padded, and then he closed the door, locked it, and put the key in his pocket, and I thought, oh my God. When he started touching me, I knew that I was just caught in a trap, and that he would do whatever he wanted to do with me. When you're 12 years old and you have no idea that a man can hurt you in this way, and it was especially degrading and extremely humiliating.
Le gros noir dit à l'autre gars, « Go pop him ». À ce moment, mon cœur bat fort et je suis sûr qu'il va mourir. Je sens le gun sur ma tête, mais il frappe la tête seulement. Je tombe par terre et je joue le mort. I think it was the 5th week. I had to read the story again, and then while reading it, all of a sudden, there was a sort of I didn't have any attachment to it. It was like reading a book. It was violent, but it wasn't me. It was something else. And I felt like smiling and laughing. And then after, I remember telling my doctor, saying, you guys have something very hot here. This is going to help a lot of people.
Because neurons that fire together wire together, every time a person who's been traumatized remembers their trauma, they're at risk of more deeply connecting the remembered trauma with the firing of the threat system. But it also turns out to be the case that neurons that fire apart wire apart. So by chemically blocking the arousal of the threat system while narrating the trauma, we can actually disconnect them. We can desynchronize them because neurons that are out of sync fail to link.
The memories don't make me suffer anymore. I still remember occasionally, but I can watch a movie that has something close to the event happening, and I don't even relate it back to my memory anymore. And then I remember, oh, I'm cured of this.
All of our new treatments for trauma take advantage of the fact that when the patient is remembering the traumatic event, the network for that memory enters a more malleable, labile state. What is unique about Alain Brunet's approach is that it uses our understanding of neuroplasticity at both the mental and biochemical levels.
We're not trying to erase people's memory. We just want to transform it into something that they can recall willingly, and which is certainly a bad memory, but a memory that belongs to the past.
You still remember everything. It's just that you don't remember them very often anymore, and it doesn't hurt you anymore. So you can just go on with life. It's a bad memory, just like everybody has bad memories, and it's not a trauma anymore.
Some of my dear friends that have known me for years, they said, oh, the old Joel is back. I have ambition, I have a drive to live again, and I appreciate things. And it could be just simple emotions, falling in love again, and wow, that's fun. I'd miss that.
Now that we're understanding how neuroplasticity can be applied to mental disorders, what's next? Can this